Well, let's get right into it as we welcome you into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor, post-mortem style, as the Bruins get beat thoroughly. The final score is 6-2, regardless that it was 2 empty net goals. It was a thorough beating by the New York Islanders, and the Islanders win the series 4-2 over the Bruins. Razor, disappointing is a word that comes to mind. Discouraged, another word that has popped into my mind. Underwhelmed with a couple of things is sometimes come to my mind. Any words jump into yours?
It happens so fast. It really playoffs every year. It happens fast. It's 10 days. You have hope one day, and the next you're golfing, and it wasn't enough. The team by the end, with the injuries on the backside, it just took its toll. It wasn't good enough at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I think we both had hope. And you said previous Morning Brew, that you still buy, you believe in them until the Islanders beat them and show them. You felt the Bruins were the better team, and at times I did too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not calling you out here. I'm saying what I'm saying is they beat them. They beat them on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was thorough beatdown mode. And the guys that you wanted to come through, of course you want the Bergeron line to come through, right? But really, to me, it was the Krejci line, the Coyle line, and they got nothing going. Because they got nothing going, Bergeron's line was absolutely, stifled. From the drop of the puck, first period on, Razor, every time they tried to get up the ice, the Islanders' textbook defense smothered them and gave them no hope. And once I felt watching them in the first period at times, even though I know it was tied eventually, I just felt like they were already tired from having to work so hard just to get out of their zone and up the ice.
Yeah, they played hard on them, and again, you lose 2 of your top 4 D. You don't have your fourth line center. You have guys in and out of the lineup. It's even though you have Brad Marchand, who is all worldly in any situation, it was hard for them, and they couldn't get it done.
All right, so let's just dive right into Tuukka now too. Looking back on the game, hindsight being 2020, I'll ask both of us: should they have started him? Like, did it have an impact on the game?
No, of course they should have started him.
Yeah,
you have to.
It's not. You have to start.
You have to start him.
Otherwise, you're rolling. I almost feel like you're rolling the dice a little more.
1,000%. It's There's your Tuukka's playing.
Okay. So now, hindsight being 2020, what did we think? What did you think of his performance in this game?
He played the puck bad again, and that caused the third goal.
Yeah.
And then I would say he overplayed. We broke down breakaways probably 10 games into the season, 20 games into the season, and how good he was being calm. On the Nelson one, he overplayed it completely, gave up backside, which, again, I've talked about on this show a bunch of times. Goalies getting ahead of the play, players wanting to go backside. He did that. He really bid on Brock Nelson going low blocker as a lefty coming down the right side, pulled it back underneath him. I didn't love that one, and the puck handling was tough. The other ones are just rebounds in front. Nobody's giving them any love at all. Yeah, it's like impossible. So, but all of that being said, it wasn't on him. It wasn't like he gave up a floater from or killed momentum. Like you said, they got beat all night. They weren't winning that game.
All right. They were not winning that game. I mean, I felt like, even though I know that they ended up tying the game on Brad's goal at 17:36 in the first period, I thought the Zajac goal was just indicative of what was to come. Here you get a guy who hasn't scored in the playoffs yet. in front of the net after double icing, or double icing, sorry, 2 icings in a row, and the Bruins can't then win the face-off to get it out. I just said, holy smokes, not a good sign. Now, I kept telling myself watching it, well, they scored late in the period, just like the Islanders did in the previous game to tie it up 1-1. But I didn't feel the same vibe. I kept telling myself to feel it, but I never, I don't know if it was, I think it was artificial. I was hoping. That's what it comes down to. I was hoping. Did you feel the same or did you feel different?
No, I was I was expecting Corrali or DeBrusque or Wagner to find one to go in off their head or their back or something. That's what I was hoping for early in the second, and then a hang on. But it certainly wasn't meant to be. And I think at the point of when the Islanders got Kuhlman got the penalty, and they ended up killing that off, but
Mm-hmm.
it was tedious at best the
Mm-hmm.
entire 2 minutes, and you just felt like it was going to be that it just wasn't going to be their night.
So to get back to Tuukka, I received 3, 4, I don't know, maybe 20 texts. I don't remember. I don't know. And social media blowing up. The whole "this is it for Tuukka Rask" thing from a boatload of people. Did you get any of that? Is your
Oh,
phone
nonstop.
nonstop? Yeah,
Yeah,
nonstop. Because
like I
you
should
know
know.
you
Like I should
you being
know.
a former goalie of the
Uh-huh.
Boston Bruins, you should know what's going to happen.
That's right.
But they all want you to say something. That's what they want
Yes,
you to
that's the
say here.
problem. Yeah,
Right.
I
They all
know.
want you to say. They're reaching out so you'll say
Yeah, he's got to
something.
go. Yeah, he's got to stay. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Right. We are not, this is not our "what do the Bruins need to do" show. This is post game 6 Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. We are going to do a Bruins "what they need to do" in our opinion show. I don't know when soon enough, but I do feel like, though, because I think we got a lot of, I know we do. We got a lot of phenomenal fans, but it's like politics, Razor. It's right down the middle with Tuukka.
Of course.
Get rid of him, you got to keep him. So I do think that we need to discuss this or address this for a minute here. Otherwise, I don't think we'd be doing, I think, what our listeners, fans, whatever you want to call them, friends, want to know. I know, and I don't make knee-jerk reactions. So the answer that I have to the question of should he stay or should he go is, hold on a second. What are we talking about here? Meaning, what does the rest of the offseason look like? But because that really is not the answer that anybody wants,
Yeah.
I will come with my answer to begin. I'll let you think of it. I personally think that Tuukka is still here for 1, maybe 2 more years, if he wants to be. I do not think his time is done here. I don't. Now, with the caveat of this, what's up with his back? We assume it's his back. That's what we're assuming, right?
Mhm.
Are we talking muscle spasms just because tweak the back? Are we talking disc leading to muscle spasms that need surgery? What are we talking? Rhetorically asking. That could be the caveat that changes my take on that. You are not going to go into the season next season with Jeremy Swayman and Dan Vladar as your pair. I don't see that. I just don't. Now there might be other goalies that are available out there. You're not bringing Yara Halak back. Shocked if that happened, personally. And are there many goalies out there better than Halak that you're willing to pair up with Jeremy Swayman? Now, I'm not saying that Tuukka Rask comes back as your $7 million goalie and all's forgiven, all that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for the right price and obviously the right term, I think you end up having a tandem for a year or two. That's what I think tonight as we sit and record this after game 6. Could I be full of it? No, I'm not full of it. I'm telling you what I think could or should. Do I know what's going to happen? I got no idea. So I gave you about a minute right there now for you to develop what
No,
you think could and should happen.
yeah, and I've had to talk about it and think about it and answer questions, and I'm along your lines. There's no question. I think the first thing that everybody involved, whether you're whatever side of the aisle you are on, you have to
The Tuukka fan,
ask. Yeah,
you know.
you're right. It's is one is what's who's next?
Mhm.
Who else? Jeremy Swayman's played 12 games in the NHL, and going to an 82 game season that he's not playing 55 games in the NHL next year, and
Right.
or you can't count on that. Maybe he is, and if he is, then God bless him, and that'll be the best thing that'll ever happen. But you can't plan that as a general manager, as an organization. You can't hold on to that. You so the first question is, if it's not Tuca, then who else? And who else is going to give you what this guy's given you? And
Which, by the way, some people don't give a shit about, meaning they don't care.
no,
It's
no,
again, it's that
that's right.
Tuukka fence that is so divided.
Yes, and I get that. I don't think the entire organization looks at it that way. I don't think that they're saying we have to get rid of this guy no matter what. There's obviously numbers, there's term, there's
Mhm.
situations involved where you have to make business decision. We saw that with Zdeno Chara, but I'm not sure that it's a necessarily we have to get rid of this guy. He's terrible for our team. We have to move on no matter what. And I don't think that's a good way to make a decision about this.
Mhm.
You if you my ideal situation, my perfect utopia is Tuca Swayman for at least a year. You sign Tuca 2 years, whatever that number is that works to keep Krejci, Hall, and him under that $15 million, whatever it takes. And
Mhm.
and Tuca gets to play his 40 games, and Swayman gets to play 40 games, and
Right.
you work off each other. I think there's a lot to be learned for Swayman from Tuca in different situations, and I think that Swayman could energize him as well. That's the ideal situation. If it isn't that, if Tuca's gone, then you're bringing a whole new person into this organization, and you're dealing with two new guys, and you're rolling the dice a lot more.
There's a lot of people out there that want this organization to go. I don't think scorched earth is right,
I know,
but
I know.
but they
It's
want it.
shocking to me. It is.
I agree.
Be careful what you wish for. I mean, you see these texts, right? You see these comments of well, the Bruins have only won one cup in 10 years. There's 25 other teams that haven't won a cup
Mhm.
in 10 years. 25. Like Pittsburgh's won twice, LA's won twice, Chicago's won twice. The Bruins, Tampa Bay, and St. Louis. Be careful. It's been a good run. You want to keep the good run going, and I get it. You lose in a semifinal or a second round, but Detroit Red Wings used to win a lot of games too.
Right, and they're in that they're still in the misery of they feel
Yeah,
it feels better there because Stevie Eiserman's back there, and that one individual is giving them hope, but they're still 5 years away.
yeah.
3 for sure from being competitive for playoffs. 5 for being, I think, legitimate.
Mhm.
Whatever that means. That again is who the hell knows. I agree with you. People, though, I find the visceral or the vitriol towards the team that made it to the Stanley Cup final in 15 and I'm sorry, in 13 and 19. And look, I get it. 19 especially. Can I just say something too? I don't know how you fix this. And I'm going tangent here for a moment, Razor. What the hell with the losses at home in the playoffs? What up? What? What? Enough of that. I know you got to win on the road. But come on, between 19 and even this year, losing too many at home. So
And
that's
that adds. I think that adds as much as anything to if they lose 2013 game 6 in Chicago, if they lose 2019 game 7 on the road in St. Louis, I don't think
Mhm.
people are as upset. I don't.
Probably
I
not.
think there's a different I think it does make a difference because everybody spent $1,000 for their ticket to see them win, and they didn't, and it's deflating, and they lose game 5. They've lost a lot of game 5s at home. Over
Yeah.
in 2019, they lost to St. Louis in game 5. They lost to Toronto in game 5. They lost to Columbus in game 2. So there's a lot of people that have gone to games. They lost to game 5 in this series that have, and I don't think that helps them. And
No.
it's something that shouldn't matter, but it does if you don't, produce at home. And you look at the Vancouver Canucks, the series, when they won the cup, they won 7-1 every game. And
Mhm.
there's a different feeling for everybody that's gone to those games. We saw 7 goals, and so it's a great point. I hadn't thought of it at all. That's a really cool point that
It's just
it's done something to people.
it
And Boston's
has.
so
It is
small. We know how Boston's so small, and
right. I mean, the beauty of Boston sports and Boston sports fans, and I mean this because I've lived in New York. I'm from Chicago, so I've lived all of that. And I was a Boston sports fan from literally the day I was born, yet I didn't live here until adulthood. They're really smart for the most part, but they're incredibly, reactionary, which I think a lot of people are. Sports do that to us and everything. But they've had this unfreaking believable, it's not even run, it's generations, decades of greatness. And to your point, which I like, be careful what you wish for, because it's going to happen. The Bruins are going to falter at some point coming up. They're going to. The cupboard, I was hoping it was a little more full about a year and a half ago or so, Razor. And now I'm not as sure. Okay, but I'm just not. So they're holding on with some of these old war horses that they got right now. Okay, don't beat up the microphone. Do not take it
I'm
out on the
ready to
microphone.
ready to throw this thing.
But they're going to falter soon enough, and I think then people feel like they're going to be able to say justifiably, "I told you so."
I
They're
know
still
it's so.
though, but they're still damn good. So,
I
so
know.
I'm with you. I love the fans. I do. I love them. I love them. I love them. But I agree. Got to be careful. I don't see scorched earth with this team. And again, we'll get into this in another show in the next week or two, whenever we regroup off this. But in this game, let's get back to the game. Nobody seemed to get any. I mean, Marchand was by far the best. I mean, didn't even really notice Bergie in this game. Not much on Pasternak except the nice bullet pass over to Marchand.
Mhm.
Was saying all day how important the second line was going to be. Krejci had some assists, great, but Taylor Hall never got going in game 5, game 6. He had a good game 1. Remember we talked about him getting the empty net goal and how rewarded.
Yep.
After that, did we have much?
Well, and I think that's related to Craig Smith's injury. I do. I think we talked about it many times. Craig Smith wasn't getting points. He wasn't, but he was the engine that was making that line go. And his injury debilitated that line. It really did. And even more so in hindsight. Tonight, Smith came back in game 3 and that was his game. He gave everything he had, but it certainly got worse. The injury got worse because he wasn't able to bring the same energy. And tonight was his worst of that. And I say worst, not to take a shot at him. It was just, he had nothing. And
least effective, right?
yeah. And he just had nothing left in the body. I mean, he couldn't go anymore, and it definitely was getting worse. So I think a lot of that goes to that. You got to dodge injuries in playoffs. The Bruins did not dodge injuries in any way in the last 7 to 10 days. They got smoked by them. And you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're reminiscing an injury of their captain. You look at Winnipeg reminiscing Mark Scheifele getting kicked out of the series. This is what happens at the end of playoff series. You look back and say, what if these guys were in the lineup? And that's where the Bruins are at. Craig Smitty was, Lazar, Miller, Carlo. If those 4 guys in the lineup, do they lose tonight? Of course, it's going to be a much better game, but that's what the Stanley Cup playoffs do. And that's why it's so hard to win these series and these games.
So a couple of little things. more than not little, but things. And again, we're recording this after the game, soon after the game. Tuukka Rask post game acknowledges that he may need surgery. Razor.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's
So
not going to talk about it for a couple
right,
days, and so he's going to.
right. So Tuukka acknowledges that he may need surgery. This has decided, spit it out, Billy, to decline what his injuries are. And okay, part of it, get it. I don't know. I mean, look, let me ask you this. You talk about the injuries and the D crew and stuff. I mean, does this expose what we thought maybe a couple of these guys were or weren't? And, Lausanne, maybe he rode the roller coaster up and down, some pretty good, some pretty tough. I thought he struggled with the puck in game 6. There's no question that Matt Grzelcyk struggled in game 6. Now, they're focusing. It's easier to focus on it, but that's part of being on the number one pair, Razor. Regardless, is they're going to focus on you. And I thought he struggled an awful lot there.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this speak to those type of players?
Well, there's reevaluation being done, and you start. You have to start looking internally. And listen, this isn't the Zdeno Chara thing, right? Well, I just want to talk. We'll go to that a little bit. Zdeno Chara leaving, he needed it worked. It was time Charlie McAvoy to step up. But when you had a guy like Zdeno Chara for 15 years, 10 years ago, the stuff he was covering up throughout the organization, being able to take guys in and out of lineups and figure out who works, who doesn't, because Z's just there. That is what is missed by that guy. And it wasn't the person, the player of this season. It was just that person in the organization. And that's what makes it hard, because now, to your point, all right, who are they going to bring in? There's no Victor Hedman's not going on the market.
No.
These guys aren't. So you have to start now. You have to look outside and try and find gems, and you try and find guys who are. The good news is for the Bruins is people want to come here. They want to be here. The players you can, but you still have to pry them away, and you still have to look through. You have to draft guys, and you have to draft well, which is not the easiest thing to do. There's just a lot on that back end. It needs to get better. It needs to get.
It has to get bigger. Enough.
It does. And the problem is your two biggest guys got knocked out. So are they injury prone, or was that unlucky? And then you have to start evaluating that and what those guys are. Because
I think you got one guy in Kevin Miller that unfortunately is injury prone. The hit thing, you can't control that. It doesn't matter. But you also know that he is already.
He's the other guy. He's on the other side. So, but is Brandon Carlo injury prone now?
Well, he
was this season.
Exactly.
3 times, right?
Right. And he's had some stuff in the past too.
Mm-hmm.
They need to draft and develop bigger, bulkier defensemen. They do. I know puck moving defensemen are important. I respect the hell out of that. But they do need to now, I think. They need to go bigger. Look, it's recency bias. I just watched Adam Pelech, Ryan Pulock, even Scott Mayfield. Who wouldn't? All of their defensemen look big. I know Andy Green isn't, but Dobson is as well. Letty's got good size, not huge, but good size. Razor, the Bruins need that depth size on their defense. They do. The game used to be all big and guys couldn't skate as much. Now big boys can skate. That's what they need. So that's something that is absolutely needs to be addressed for that. Listen, in this game, I get to go. We're not going to go through goals or whatever, but they got outplayed in many ways. They got outplayed. They regularly got outplayed in front of the net in the last couple of games of this series. And the interesting thing is guys like Barzal, guys like Palmieri, they're not huge, but they got on inside positioning and they were able to get to the middle. They stretched the Bruins out just enough. They exploited the middle. Bruins never seemed to be able to adjust to that, Razor. And again, is that just because guys were out of the lineup, or is it something that tactically that you think they should have done better?
It does. It doesn't help having guys in the lineup. Again, it's you have guys in the lineup that aren't used to that spot, that are playing too many minutes. That it's an addition by subtraction type
Mm-hmm.
scenario at times. It really is. When you have Carlo playing 23 minutes like he was in 2019, that's a whole nother animal of what
Mm-hmm.
would have been going on in this series. So you but there's some tactical stuff that was going on out there. There's no question that the Islanders were making adjustments quicker than the Bruins were, and
I'd agree.
they were
Yep.
able to snuff out face-off plays, for instance, that the Bruins have been able to dominate people, and they snuffed them out right away. They were able to, second period, take advantage of the Bruins. It was almost like they waited to get to the second period. They rope-a-dope the first periods to be able to take advantage of their forecheck in the second. They didn't waste any energy in the first, and they
Mm-hmm.
just went all out in the second to take advantage of the Bruins. So there was a lot of adjustments that the Islanders made better than the Bruins throughout the series.
Yeah. You're right. They reset beautifully. And I think that goes back to the poise that we talked about that they have and the resiliency. And I know the Bruins had resiliency too in this group, but not like the Islanders. Nowhere near what the Islanders did when it's all said and done.
No, I think the mentality was the same. I think the ability to actually execute
Execute. Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
the same. The third and fourth lines of the Bruins,
Mhm.
just it was that's maddening. It was, and listen, 2019, Joachim Nordstrom, man,
Yep.
oh man, how good was that guy? How good was Nola Chari? How good, like these
Marcus
guys were,
Johansson. Yeah.
Marcus
Yeah.
Johansson, Charlie Coyle. Then these guys were
Yeah.
big, big, big time players. They really were. It didn't shine through this time.
No. Big time didn't. Charlie Coyle, boy.
Mm,
Tough year for Charlie. And again,
yeah.
we'll have another show to really go over that, but not the kind of year you're looking for, especially knowing
We have 5
that
years left.
you got the term left, but also you're thinking he's going to be the guy to take over for David Krejci, and not right now,
Mm-mm.
not right now. Let's take a moment quickly here to recognize our two sponsors for the show, Fazenda Coffee and Wormtown. FazendaCoffee.com, the place where so many of you awesome Morning Brew fans have gone to. And I get the Morning Brew mug, but also their great coffee. And many of you have continued to support them. And thank you very much. They're fantastic people. They've been great partners since, they called us to see what we'd be interested in. And great products and awesome customer service. If you order $35 or more, there are still some mugs left. Not a lot, but some mugs left, and you can get in on them. They are Boston Specialty Coffee Roaster. Started here in Boston, still here in Boston. They are dedicated to roasting the perfect cup of coffee, and they've got something for everybody. RC got very happy today. He got a bunch of Snap Chilled. The others are waiting for you.
Already gone.
We're still finishing my French roast and then working on my Fazenda blend coming up soon. Thank you to FazendaCoffee.com. Go to FazendaCoffee.com/Morning Brew. Use that URL, that FazendaCoffee.com/Morning Brew to line up your mug. And by the way, people in Canada, I got texted about this, tweeted
I
about
know.
this. They will ship there. It's just more expensive. That's the problem. But they said, yes, it is doable, but it is more expensive.
And at
The
some
other,
point, the border will open, and I'll drive all of the ones up to Canada. We'll make a shipload. I'll drive them up. So that's another option. If people want to wait, whenever I can go to the border, my mom will ship them.
can you? But are you? But the Prius is not ideal to smuggle anything in. There's
Oh no,
really
the minivan goes up. The
okay.
minivan goes up. If you go over in the middle of the night with 3 kids, anything goes.
Okay, all right, and I got you. We'd also like to thank Wormtown and the people of Wormtown Brewery and their craft hard seltzers. orange zest, cran apple, lemon, lime, and black cherry. They all come in the case. 100 calories, 5% alcohol by volume, 2 grams of carbs. They know they're not the first hard seltzer that you're going to try, but they plan on making it the last one. They're that good. They are outstanding. Go to wormtownbrewery.com/our seltzers to check them out. Thank you to Wormtown and their craft hard seltzers for being a part of Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor for the last couple of weeks too. So, all right, the Bruins now, what will happen in the next few days? Obviously, they have the postseason interviews, the exit interviews, a season unlike any other that we've experienced. Let's go through it. You've done it as a player, but for fans listening out there that maybe aren't familiar with what the next couple of days are going to be like for a player, spell out what you think it would be, considering, again, this year is different than anything we've experienced.
Sure, day off tomorrow. Everybody goes home, hangs out, nothing. Then there'll be meetings. What's tomorrow? Thursday? Friday morning will be meetings, get your gear, get everything out of the dressing room, have your Zoom interviews, which will be this year. And then you'll be on the first plane to Hawaii, Bahamas, wherever your family wants to go on Saturday. And you're basically get out of town for a few days and decompress and then typically this season's quick too. Listen, what do we got? We got June 9th. So this is Stanley Cup winning. These guys are going to be rocking and rolling in 3 months. So it'll be on them to get ready. But essentially what we're going to see in the next 48 hours is nothing tomorrow. Guys will be gone. No one will see anybody. And then they'll do the whole schmoggle on Friday. And that's not fun for players. It's just not. There's nothing good that comes of it unless you've won the Stanley Cup. It's kind of a miserable day. You get the garbage bags and you pack them up and you're out of there.
Face some more questions from the media too.
Yeah, and there'll be more for this group, as we know. We've already touched on it. I mean, there's 3 or 4 guys that are going to get smoked. They always do every year, and you try and just get through it. And again, we got draft and free agent. This stuff's coming down the pipe really quick. So
Bruins, I think I'm looking up, will be drafting 21st in the first round due to their position. If that is inaccurate, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that I have that looking to be the right way. Yes, updated. I'm looking at Cap Friendly here. Updated right now has Edmonton at 20, Boston at 21. So
yeah. So again, Ryan Nato and the crew are digging into 2nd, 3rd, 4th round picks. That's where you make your hay in these drafts. When you're at 21, I mean, it's the difference between 18 and 25 is negligence.
Yeah. So all right, we look at this, and I guess to kind of put a bow just on the series, beat by a better team, a deeper team, a healthier team.
Healthier team.
A healthier team for sure.
Deeper, better team.
I think I'm more more ably to achieve their game. They were able to find their game enough, and at times a lot more than the Bruins, and then they simply wore them down. And I think, again, I go back to what I said about 15 minutes ago. I need to see some more guys that can be in the battle a little more here. That doesn't mean, again, I'm not blowing it up. I'm just saying a couple of depth guys that are in the battle more, doing more. I think, Razor, that we've always lauded how great the Bruins' 4th line has been for a long time. I think that needs a remake now. I don't think Lazar's going. I know he's not. Well, I should say I know. I don't think he's going anywhere. But I'm not sure that we'll see anywhere. I think we'll have 2 new pieces on that 4th line.
Yeah, and I don't want to say better team because of Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron secondarily. Even in this situation, amazingly that I'm not putting Patrice first, but Brad Marchand's the best player in this series, and not like Connor McDavid's the best player in this series. I mean, like 200-foot game, compete, a guy that should win a Stanley Cup, being the leader of the team, Brad Marchand. And that's where it's like, man, if you have him on your team and you let him, my wife and kids were saying, man, he must be so let down by the guys. And he's not. And I said right behind it, well, everyone's trying really hard, but you watch and it's just, it comes through the TV, and that's
Yep.
it on both sides of the ice. What he did this season was
Special.
incredible, special,
Yeah.
special.
A special player.
Hmm.
And, he's add him to the list of Boston. I think he's earning, if not almost there, that of those special Boston athletes
Hmm.
that become associated with the city for generations because
You
of how hard they play.
and
He's getting there.
games like tonight do it even more for me, because I know how hard that must have been for him to play that game.
Yeah. They didn't have it. And without Carlo, I know Kevin wasn't in the whole time. I think without Carlo made a big difference. Carlo he got better. He didn't start out great. Remember, game one again wasn't great, even though the team won, but he got better. He seemed to be able to handle a couple of the skilled guys on the aisles, and the penalty kill was huge.
Yeah.
But then he wasn't there, and the Bruins couldn't adjust. Great teams make those adjustments, and the Bruins couldn't.
Yep.
So they've got a lot of thinking to do. We will, again, have a show. By the way, one thing from the game, too, I'm sorry. I'm not griping at the official. I'm not. They missed that McAvoy thing. They missed the McAvoy hit. I don't know how the hell that wasn't a penalty. I'm not saying that was the reason they lost the game, for crying out. I'm just saying, it's coming back to me now right there. I'm like, that's just, holy smokes. Like that, what are you looking at?
Yeah, and
what aren't you looking at?
I'll make it a non-homer play in that Palat hit against Carolina, Tampa Bay on Carolina. Look this one up, that he doesn't get a $5,000 suspension for this. These head hits, it's crazy. It's crazy. So the Palat hit, he should have got $5,000, maybe even a game. This one was just the similar. Like, they call a slash and they won't call this head hit after the whistle. It's crazy.
What? Because he didn't get him with his elbow, but he got him with his shoulder. The main point of contact.
The guy missed 6 minutes. He had to go to the dark room from a hit. Like, what are we doing?
Right. And so, again, not why they lost. Not why they lost.
No.
Not why they lost. But holy smokes, guys, let's be better. There's 4 of you on the ice. I know 2 of you can only call major, minors, etc. But to me, that's where if I'm just call something there. Call something. And if they didn't know what they saw, go ask your linesman and do it subtly. Did I miss something?
No.
And then call. I vent for a moment because that just came back to me. So the Bruins lose. I'll say this. Let's give it 2 or 3 minutes on wrapping up the season. An exciting end to the regular season. I know that doesn't mean much now. But if you go back, folks, and you remember how you felt after the trade deadline, for those, what was it? I'm going to say 16 games or so. That was pretty damn special. That was a ton of fun. Whether it was Taylor Hall, whether it was Mike Riley, or Curtis Lazar adding
Jeremy Swayman.
That shouldn't pacify anybody and let anything off the hook, so to speak, Razor. But let's not forget that goodness that we had right there. There was some damn good stuff, some fun stuff. Now, we don't, when I say we, I mean the city of Boston, the area of New England, the passionate Bruin nation doesn't accept goodness or good, regular season for a postseason that feels a little disappointing. But it was still pretty fun. And if I went over some of those shows or people replayed some of those shows late there, everybody was in a pretty giddy mood. So I hope you can take some of the good out of that. That's going to be one of the best parts of the season for me, remembering how after that first game against Buffalo, it was anything but pretty. It was real clunky, chunky, how they started to come together so quick and how good they looked and how they put themselves into a position to make the playoffs as a type of team, by the way, that you and I both thought they would be a second, third, maybe even a 4th place type of team. But we both hoped for better in the playoffs, but only not to see it happen.
Only not to see. It's hard. It's really hard, gang. It's these playoffs are nuts. and it's
Yeah.
really hard to go on a run.
Well, they didn't.
They didn't. We get a
And
weekend off now.
we have, yeah. I don't know when I take off. I'm waiting to find out. I am scheduled to go cover the winner of the Islander Bruins series against Tampa. We now know who that is. So I get the consolation prize of spending the next 10 to 12 days going between New York or Tampa and New York. So look, it's work. It's the NHL network. It's what we do. So I always like to say, keep the plane flying. That you don't make money when it sits on the ground, right? You got to keep it flying. And so
Yeah.
that's what we're going to do. All right. Thank you so much for all of this great stuff between the regular season and the postseason. We are not done. Do we agree on that, Razor? We haven't had our end of the year meeting yet or anything.
No,
I
we
don't.
need to have a meeting as well, but no, we're not done.
We are not done. We will come up. We're going to talk Bruins. We're going to have some stuff. We will make announcements. We will get in touch with you. It might not happen for another week or two right now. Maybe from the road we can do one here or there, Razor. We'll see. We may have to, there might be some big Bruins news that comes up, and it might be worth doing a quick morning brew. But for the next week or two, I don't know, folks, if we'll be coming back. But that doesn't mean that we won't be around, and it doesn't mean that we aren't planning things for the off season. You fans have been phenomenal. RC has been outstanding. The guy has worked his ass off to keep us afloat at times. Technology does not always make it easy on him. Razor, again, it's been a ton of fun. It's been a great discipline as well to do this. I think it's made me, I hope, a better broadcaster. I know sometimes I can probably talk a little bit too much. Unfortunately, I don't get paid by the word. I am not what you would call a traditional host, so I'm sorry for some of that shit if I did. But it's been great. And it's a fantastic group of people I feel like that we've started to connect with out there with Morning Brew. I think those people have been awesome. Our numbers have gotten better and better and better. They're going to keep having to rise as we, look to expand and do more. So, and Razor, you know what, man, you're fantastic at what you do. The goalie perspective is outstanding. The other stuff too. So I'm thrilled that you agreed to come on and do this. I am. I didn't know when I asked you about this. So I'm if you were going to be interested, but I'm thrilled that you did.
And I'm thrilled you've done all the work. You and RC, you guys do all the work. So I get to kind of talk. So I appreciate all of those hours and minutes and thoughts and ideas that we've talked about. So it's been a blast for me. It's been super helpful to me to have to think and talk and watch and try and articulate as well as you do. And yeah, we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna take a little break here because we don't want to have to talk about Tampa Bay and
Right.
the New York Islanders series. I'm not gonna watch. I'm just not. But it's been a blast, and hopefully we brought something to the table. So
yeah,
we'll get
I
better.
hope so
We'll keep
too.
getting better, right? We're
We
gonna
will.
keep getting better.
That's a good point. We absolutely screwed up here and there.
Mhm.
Podcast neophytes. We had RC along the way to keep us kind of in between the lines, so to speak, at times. And you know what? Some things work, some things fail. Who the hell cares? Get back up when you fail, you become better. So I agree with you. We will continue to get better, and we will continue to provide people with hopefully material that you guys all find very interesting.
And then the other thing I'll say, because I've been nodding the whole time, but yeah, thanks for our sponsors too, right? I mean, you said it, but I didn't say it. I was nodding the whole time. Fazenda, Sparks, Wormtown, really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been wonderful to work with. And again, folks, we look to do more. We will get together. We will have our meeting. We'll figure it out, and we're going to be open to suggestions too. So we're gonna make it work and do the best on everything. So that's going to wrap it up. The Bruins lose the game 6-2 on Long Island to the New York Islanders. They lose the series 4-2. A disappointing way to end what seemed to be a very potentially promising playoff run. But the Bruins had to deal with some adversity, couldn't overcome it, and in the end, lose to the New York Islanders, a team that right now just seems to be all about team, healthy, and rolling. It'll be interesting to see how they do against a very talented, loaded Tampa Bay Lightning. That'll wrap it up on this Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Everybody, again, thank you for everything you have done over the last couple of months. Thank you for supporting us, listening to us, interacting with us. Thank you again to our sponsors. We wish you a wonderful couple of weeks coming up. And I will tell you every day, start out with a great cup of coffee and enjoy your morning brew.